Hey. Good evening. It's evening where I am. I'm not sure where you are, but yeah, hi. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I don't know what happened to yesterday's stream. I was to carry on and took a little bit of a break. I ended up getting caught up with the boxing, and then the football, and then the basketball, and then before you knew, I was up late coding, thinking, you know what, I'm not going to I'll stream tomorrow, I'll live to fight another day. At that point I was kind of too tired to be talking while I was working, so I had the basketball on, I had the NBA finals. I'm a little bit disappointed that the Spurs lost it again, blew another lead, but hey ho. I'm a bit over that because Lewis Hamilton won his first race for Ferrari today, so that was good. That was a good watch today. So yeah, hi to anyone that's new, anyone that's tuning in for the first time, and all of that. I'm just gonna kind of dive straight in, and I'm trying so hard I'm trying consciously not to repeat myself or kind of go over the same things between some of these streams and whatnot. But I think it's always good to kind of give an overview, a summary in terms of where we got to last time, and then kind of where we're going from here. So I'm not going to spend too long on this diagram because we're adding to it today. That's kind of what the purpose of today's video in terms of what I'm personally doing. And again, sorry to those that are kind of like chopping around or tuning in to see one thing and then I'm talking about something completely random. I'm just pressing record as I'm working and being basically taken wherever the wind blows. Right, so yesterday and over the last few sessions and whatnot, you've seen me kind of go through this, I guess my framework, first and foremost manually, in terms of just not letting anything run autonomously, being really in the loop at every decision, at every juncture. And then as I was doing that, I did say that I'm kind of doing it just to validate some of the things that I'm doing before I create loops for them within my autonomous workflow. And then I kind of went through that yesterday in terms of what it is, in terms of, I start a session on Claude, and this is essentially what happens as at an LLM level. So I start a new session in Claude Code. On session startup, there are various hooks that are triggered and that are armed. I've got a cron session that's scheduled to run every hour, and that's my fast loop. And then I've got a slower loop that's running and resetting every 3 hours and triggering certain actions every 3 hours in terms of a sweep, an audit, planning ahead based off of what's being done now. And then also that's kind of to help me catch any key decisions that need me to actually validate something before the tool or the build goes in a particular direction that is critical to my spec that we outline at the start of each build. So obviously I've spoken through all of that. I've then gone through what the actual bare bones of all of this does, in terms of my conductor, what that's doing, my reducer, what that is doing within the loop as well. And then I spoke a bit about all of these various agents and what their jobs are. And then I went through what happens within the actual pipeline, kind of just a walkthrough of what happens to to a prompt or a session. Once a session is triggered, what actually happens end to end, in terms of, you start up a session, what does resume actually do? what is steering, what the research agent's doing, and then kind of going a bit deeper into that as well. Little Risk Kid, hey man. Yeah, I can see your chat. What's up? And then going through the steer, the research, the plan, and whatnot, what all of that is doing, and then obviously where I come into all of this. Spoke about that, and then all the way down to the governance and everything like that. So, sorry, I'm just moving this so I can read your comment. I want to learn AI, but it seemed to be so tough. I'm really confused that whether I can complete the full Python. Sorry, let me start this from the beginning. I want to learn AI, but it seems to be so tough, and I'm really confused at whether I want to complete a full Python and then go to Fast API, or just know some basics and then go for Fast which is better. Nowadays you don't really need to learn all of that. It depends what you're trying to build. So myself, I've come from a computer science background, so in terms of Python, I'm not going to say I'm advanced within Python. I can figure things out. I was writing Python scripts before AI came out. But in this day and age, you don't really need to know all of the ins and outs of the code, as long as you know what you're trying to build, and you can articulate it enough, and you know how all of the bits join together. That's enough. You can obviously prompt that into any LLM these days. They're better than the top software developers in the world. And I don't think even the top software developers in the world really touch code these days. So yeah, I'm trying to build AI models. I know I have all of it. I want to have my major as an AI. Okay, cool. So then, yeah, in that case, yeah, you're going to need to learn Python. But again, the basics in terms of like just get a core understanding, because even I'll be honest, so even back when I was studying computer science or graduated, and then doing development for software and things like that, I was working at Shell at one point, or for Shell at one point. So even before AI came out, coding isn't something that you need to kind of store every single library, every single syntax in your head. We used to all use Google. So if you wanted to figure out how to do something or how to connect something, or if you had an issue, Google was your friend. GitHub was your friend, because someone else would have already come across that issue before. And then it's just about, okay, figuring it out and adding it all in. So I would say if that's kind of the route that you're trying to go down, you can still use AI to teach you. So, you know what I mean? Just prompt it. Say, tell your AI tool, whichever, you're using, GPT, Claude, whatever you're using, just to go through a curriculum with you. Give it your outcome in terms of, this is where I'm trying to get to. And then get it to give you a crash course on it. As long as you then understand the basics, you've got the building blocks to create pretty much anything. So that would be my suggestion to you in this day and age. Otherwise, sitting there and trying to learn Python to the nth degree, you're going to end up kind of not getting discouraged, but you'll end up getting left behind just because of how fast this industry is growing. And then if you're trying to kind of get really stuck into the code and the nitty gritty, you'll end up getting left behind. So I would suggest learn the basics, learn the principles, learn how these things connect, learn what they're used for, learn where to use them, and then, yeah, you're golden from there. As long as you can then prompt that and systematically understand the building blocks, you're good to go. But again, I would still use AI to teach you. That would be my advice to you. Low risk kid. Cool. So I'm just checking progress on something in the background before I open it up. Yeah, no worries at all, man. No problem. Right, so I'm just kind of got distracted there. But yeah, sorry about that. Lost my flow. But yeah, so while was I going through this? So this is kind of like what I've been working on the last couple of days, in terms of talking you guys through. And then from there, I've been building it out and kind of showing you examples of this working, or how it's working in the background. So kind of the next step for me, I've got probably, I think, 4 projects running concurrently in the background using this method, and then there's one where I'm actually working with really getting thrown off. Yeah, sorry. So I've got 4 projects that are running this autonomous loop in the background, and then just for kind of token budgeting and whatever else, I didn't want to get my wires in a loop, so I've got one session that I'm actually running. I'm running what locally, and manually, so that's then helping me to really have a good steer on the progress there. And then now what I wanted to kind of start going through now in the transition that I'm making, is to add more, I guess, intelligence to these loops. I want to add self-learning. I want to add a few market loops to it as well, and just a couple of other things, just so that it's steering itself more, and then just baking in more and more intelligence in terms of the steps that I was doing externally before within the frameworks. So I'll just be kind of going through what each of those steps are, why it is that I'm putting things in a certain place, and then you can see how the project progresses from there. Just give me a second, because it's something I'm actually trying to fire up and it's not loading up, which is oh, okay, cool. So I just need to put something into PowerShell, and then I can share that part of the screen for you. I'm waiting for some process to start in the background, and I hadn't started serving it to my local HTTP. Why is it not loading? What's going on here? Got a couple of errors on the things that I'm doing, and it's just not okay, cool. So that's starting up now. Sorry, I am going to share my screen in a second. I'm just waiting for a couple of processes to trigger up, and then I can put them all in. Alright. Oh, sorry on that. I wasn't watching the chat. Just bear with me a second. Sorry. What was your first question? Were you talking about data structure? And why do we need good data structure? I hope that's what you're asking anyway. I'm sorry if it's not. But it's just so that we can basically better structure information, use less memory, let it run faster, and then it helps you like when you come to scaling up as well. And it's a really good question that you actually asked about data structure, because that's what I'm trying to load up in the background. So I'll show you something that I'm currently working on or working through, but I'm just trying to get it to fire up, which is currently giving me problems, but I'll be able to switch to that, and then you can see. I'm just trying to organize all of my screens. I should have really done this before I started the stream, so just bear with me. Let me get that working, and then we can move forward. Yeah, I'll be able to show you that in a moment, my friend. Let me just go to studio mode, and then I want to. Alright, cool. So that's just and while that's doing that. Right, just bear with me a moment. I'm just trying to get all of my screens up for you, because then I can show you the answer to the question that you've just asked about data structure in proper detail, but I'm just trying to fire up all of the databases and the services that actually run in my loops, and then I can bounce between the code and actually showing you the front end and how these bits and bobs connect, and then obviously be able to talk to you about why fast API and all of these other bits and bobs are actually really important. Yeah, sorry, yeah, you asked am I from the UK? I'm from the UK. Where are you from? Just while I'm waiting for this to load up. Cool, so hopefully this should do it. I was pointing it to the wrong folder, so refresh this now, and then hopefully I can share that on the screen. So that's fine. So, right. Cool, sorry. Oh, okay, so you're from South India. Okay, nice. It's nice. And no problems. I'm just waiting for this service to actually start up so I can show you the data structure that I'm following, and then show you how I'm implementing Fast API. And then obviously I can, because it links into the process map that I had up a short while ago, and what I'll be doing with that. So I wanted to make sure that you can see that, and then we can go from there. Because I really did want to, the main focus of this session was to, no, it's not a big process. It's a very small process. It's a very small process. It's just that I was working on a different slice of work within the actual project workflow. So I was pointing it a completely different folder. So in pointing it to a completely different folder, that's going to show you things on there that I didn't want public facing. So I'm trying to revert back to a different instance, or for a different folder with different data sets showing, just so that I'm not showing you guys anything sensitive or that I don't want online yet. And yeah, so just triggering that is just, I don't know if it's my browser cache or something else that's just playing up, but it keeps loading up the previous folder. So I'm just trying to get that right, and then I can, and then we'll be good to go. Get off this. Go via local host, 80, rather than trying to get a server. to hacking the vibe. King the vibe. That's I like that. It's making me laugh. We don't want people hacking the vibe. No, you made me. Hacking the vibe. Show you this on a slightly dang it, bro. Or is that a good thing, bad thing? Do you want me to turn it off? It helps me focus. Yeah, no, it really does help me focus because there's no lyrics, there's no yeah. All right, cool. So I can show you this. So I can talk to you about a little bit about the data structure and how I'm personally using Fast API and whatnot. Right, so let me quickly pop back over to OBS and then I can show you. You can say, man, I can understand that. Just yeah, okay, cool. So I'll show you. So this is a really condensed version of what I'm building, but you can look back at yesterday's video because I had the full corpus up, but there were a couple of things that I'm still changing on this, just so that just so I can show you in terms of what I plan to show in this particular stream, or what I'm working on today in today's sprint of work. But this is why data structure is important. So obviously I'm building out several systems and I'm making quite a lot of changes and adding several new features to every single project that I've built in the past, and then laying out new functionality that I want in all future projects. But all of that required me to have the data structure right, in terms of every concept, whatever else. So before I start any project, before I started kind of like working on the front end or thinking about, okay, how's the front end going to work and whatever else, the first thing that I needed to do was get the data structure right. Having the data structure right in terms of how I'm going to ingest the data, how I'm then going to aggregate that data, the plotting, how the data relates. But all of that, Python. It's quick. There's so many libraries that you can use. And then with regards to then moving that data and transforming it as well, you're golden, because you can do pretty much anything with it. And just to kind of give you what this is, or what this is going to expand into, it's all of, basically, if you look at yesterday's stream, or if you just go on my channel, I've kind of been showing this in the background as I've been building it up and working through it. And then from there, using again Fast API to channel that data into a front end, so then I can represent it in a slightly different way. I can put in a lot of information and have it mean so many different things. But again, it all starts with setting your data structure right, and I'm learning that even more so. I'm really hot on data. I'm really keen on data, numbers, I guess how information is structured, and then being able to create relationships within that data, but then being able to then mobilize and use that data within your system, and pull it from tables and have it represented somewhere else in a completely different way as well. But I think being able to structure your data is, I think, the most important thing, the principle that you have to get right at the foundation of every build. And I think I've been streaming in terms of how I'm building things for the last, I want to say 2 weeks or so, but I'm yet to show a front end. I'm yet to show an onboarding portal. I'm yet to show the actual platform UI or anything like that, because every single session has been mostly about data structure, mostly about the right context that I'm going to use it in, mostly about how I'm going to create relationships between the data. Then okay, cool, based on then I'm finding out other issues with regards to the size of the data that I'm actually using as well. So if I'm I don't know how to articulate this properly. So let's say, for example, I've got a larger data set which I've baked in a lot of functions, maths and different calculations and interpretation. That data set is going to now scale. So then if I want to then use that data to then let's say, for example, put it into something like a Salesforce, use it for articulating, I don't know, plotting something, you can use in a system. I can't say too much. Plotting something that you can use in a system. The size of that data now matters, because your system's going to be stupidly slow if the data structure and how you're compacting that data isn't set right. If your data structure is not clean and the tables are not clean and whatever else, you're going to end up losing your context as you're going along. If your data is not stored in the right way or compacted in the right way, it means your system's going to be slow. And then how you're moving that data from one system to another, or how you're calling it, and then how you're processing that data as well. You have to think about all of these things before you sit there and try and one shot and design the front end of something, right? Exactly. It affects the speed, it affects the context, it affects you being able to find it. So even like things like your name, and think about your naming conventions for your tables, because sometimes, again, when you're dealing with data, and especially in systems, Naming conventions are really important, because depending on where in your system you've structured certain data, or certain information, all you have to do, again, with Python or anything else where the cores or the variables that you're using to reference something are so important. So let's say, for example, I really like the pandas library, because I'm doing quite a lot of like plotting. Quite a lot of this, again, is in Python. I couldn't do all of this in Obsidian. I found so many limitations, so I've had to just create something bespoke in Python. But it's allowed me to literally spam as many data connections, create all the relationships that I want to create, and then be able to pull that out and represent it in a completely different way. Again, but it started with thinking about all of these the connections and the data structure first before I think about anything visual. I wanted to know, okay, am I going to need to drill down? How do I want these things to be represented? Okay, I want to show weighting, for example. I wanted to show and represent priority in things. What's the best way that I can do that with the data that I've got? So when you think about all of those things, you can then enforce that into your system, build it into your system. And again, your data needs to be structured correctly, because if you're trying to build the front end first and you're thinking about, okay, I want it to look like this, but then you don't have a solid understanding of your data that's driving that platform, you're building something now that you can't swap out, you can't manipulate going forward, you can't update going forward. So yeah, that's me on data structure and the importance of it, and you're gonna kind of hopefully see why. I just want to try and get off. I want to get off this in a second. Oh gosh, it's showing there. Oh, why am I screaming like this? Okay, hopefully you're still on Lil Riz Kid, so I can show you the full thing now. So give me a second. I'll show you. Oh, it did switch. Didn't want it to switch, but it's switched. Okay, so hopefully you can still see that. Yeah. Running on 8. Right, okay. Let me just quickly switch to this. Let me switch to 87. Or it's running on 8. I think it's running on 77. Okay, cool, brilliant. All right, so now you've got more of a view of what I was talking about, hopefully. So I showed you the sample of the 36 or so cases, but even when you're dealing with data, and this is just for you personally, based off of the question that you asked at the beginning, about best practice and learning Python and stuff like that, and I said the most important thing is learning the principles and then you obviously asked about the DSA and why it's important. So data structure. So I've just like a couple of minutes ago, you saw a really condensed version of what I've got on the screen now. And now here is like a fuller version of that, and now that's got every single conversation that I've got with between all of my LLMs. I've done all of the DSA right at the beginning. I spent 3 days just setting the data structure. compiling it, testing it on a very small sample, building all of the relationships, and then now I've got something that behaves exactly how I want it from a data perspective. And this, thank you so much for asking that question, man. But you've hit the nail on the head for something that I wanted to talk about today and kind of improve on today, because this is all going to feed back into that plan that I had up at the beginning of the stream, because this is just now the data layer. I can obviously put my UI and connect it to everything else that I want to connect things to, but I can now, with the data being set right, I've got everything that I need now to build absolutely anything. I can use this data set to build a cockpit for myself in terms of a full view of everything that I want to do with AI, in terms of exactly what my agents are doing. Personally, like, there's a layer of this that I'm adding on to help me prioritize work, show me connections between ideas that I've had for a very long time and basically not actioned, or basically, let's say for example, redundant thoughts, where I've got connections between like my core, like all of these messy items, but they're all linked in a way from a data structure perspective that allows me to basically pull out information and put it into a different system that's basically just for that thing. So let's say the thing, show me all of the ideas that I've had that I've not followed up on. I can do that with this data set, right? Because all of the connections are there, and the data structure has that baked in, so I can represent it and then extract it quickly. And I'll give you an example of the opposite of good data structure. So let's say for example, the same data set, but and I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to basically pull out and extract all of the projects that I've not followed up on. This is now where the latency comes into it. If I didn't have something within the data set that represented whether something was successful, and that's already pre-calculated and plotted within each, and there's a relationship that represents that, it means that if I've now got a system that's just looking at the data set, but that item's not plotted, it's going to spend a longer time trying to calculate and work that out and then give me the information. But now if you imagine that you're using a system, you click it, you're expecting the answer straight away. You're not clicking it and waiting for it to calculate, and then that's going to slow the system down, and then it could error out, it could time out. You might just want that answer straight away. And now let's say for example that's a web platform or service that you're offering your customers. Your customers are not going to want to wait that long for that. So again, just to kind of show you in principle why the DSA is really important and is a must in any system. That's just an example within my own data set why I've had to really push and spend so much time getting the DSA right, just so that it can power everything else becomes easier. If the data structure is correct, and you've considered absolutely everything that you're going to need to do, it works for you. And obviously if you set it up in a way that it's standalone in the way that I have, because you know, when I've spoken about this to other people, you mean like Spotify, where it plays a song and just, yeah, exactly. So I'll give you even an even better example, right, of DSA. You're bringing out the nerd in me, little Riz kid. So let's say for example social media, or Instagram. So Instagram, this is how they do their DSA. So let's say for example you load up the application everybody that's kind of got all of the likes, like Ronaldo, all of these people that have got a crazy amount of traction, their data isn't stored in the same place as someone that's got a fresh account that's just started, where people really need to go and search just to find their content. The popular people on Instagram, all of their posts and stuff, they're stored in a table or in a database that's cached for fast access. It's already preloaded so that when you click it, it's there straight away. It's not something that's, you know what I mean, that their accounts are not stored in the same place as someone with lower traction. So even when you get, let's say for example, trending posts and things like that, where there's going to be a lot of people accessing and requesting that post from the data table, it needs to be somewhere with larger bandwidth. It needs to be somewhere with faster access. So they consider all of these things already. So when it comes to you clicking a post, or you're thinking, hang on, how comes Instagram and all of these other places, they don't break when you've got someone that's got 1 million likes or 100,000 comments. That's a lot of data to actually, you know, in terms of web traffic, it's a lot of data to go through. But they have to consider that, and the way that they architect that is to allow a crazy amount of bandwidth for their popular posts, their popular accounts that already get that foot traffic. And then for new accounts, someone that's not really that popular and whatnot, it's they're stored somewhere where the bandwidth is not that high. So again, data structure is really important in whatever system that you're building. And yeah, the same thing for your Spotify example as well. Data structure. Right. So while that's doing its thing, I just want to try and get back on track. I promise I'm not blaming you. Let me see if I can just quickly get back on track with regards to where I wanted to go with this today, and what I wanted to build out today. Okay. Stood. Thinking, why is that showing there? I don't want it to show there. Right. That was a great explanation, bro. It means a lot. Yeah, no problem, man. Any time. And thank you for asking the question. Really appreciate it. If you got any more questions, just ask. And I'll try and yeah, just do your thing. Just ask whatever comes to your mind, and I will try and explain it. It's also good for me to kind of get those practice hours in and really give you guys get a bit more into my flow when it comes to talking about what I'm doing and explaining it, you know, because sometimes I get carried away. I get into my own little space where I'm thinking, and I forget that I'm on stream sometimes. So yeah, it's good that you asked the question, because it keeps the thing alive, and it keeps it moving forward. Right, cool. So while that's there, hopefully now I can safely pivot to my other screen and prepare and get back to preparing where I was. Making me laugh, man. It's the wrong Excel drawer. 3 days, man. 3 days. Yeah. And it's, if I was to, I can kind of really nerd out when it comes to this. Just because of exactly what it is. So you can see like the amount of detail. There's all of these. So if I'll show you. So I can go in at any project level. And then if I zoom in, get it like this. So if I zoom in, you see all of this detail in there. Like these are still all nodes. So I can click on any of them. Yeah. And it will show me where the connections are and how they all relate. And this is in real time as well. So every time I make a prompt, every single time that, in terms of locally, it's real time because that's cheap. But then on, I think I've got it set to every day at 5 a.m. It's pulling all of my cloud conversations as well into a path locally on my PC. So once I finish doing all of this locally, then I'm going to put it onto a server so I can access it anywhere, and then I can connect it to all of my other systems that are online once I start building out all of the logic. But all of these are, you can see it. You can do most of this in Obsidian, but in terms of doing it in Obsidian, it doesn't handle this much data well. And then obviously the relationships as well, it falls over. So I managed to do all of this with obviously Python and a few different libraries, do all of the weighting, do all of the recency, the relationships, get all of that working. And yeah, there's I think there's about 11,000 conversations in here now, all connected, and the relationships are all linked. So yeah, there's a lot that I'm going to be doing with this, but today's session, said I always thank you for asking your question at the start, because it was so relevant to what I'm actually doing in the background, and it's teed it up nicely for what I want to talk about today. Yeah, so just give me a sec. Yeah, so it's lined it up nicely for what I want to be able to actually talk about today, and what I want to be able to go through with you guys today. Yeah, 11K is light. Like it's light because I'm probably over the next few days I'm gonna import all of my Notion conversations as well. So it's not just LLM stuff; it's all the journal stuff as well in there. And then yeah, and then it'll look a bit more impressive. But this again isn't the stopping point. This is just me being able to visualize the data structure. My systems don't care about what this looks like. They're going to just be able to pull from the connections and the nodes that have been created from this. That's what they're going to be able to pull from. Yeah. So that's what's happening there anyway. Just a quick one. But then yeah, let me just keep teasing to pivot over to what I want to talk about today, and then I keep getting drawn into this. And it's not your fault, don't worry. Once again, I'm not blaming you, sir or madam. Let's see if this right, cool. So today, in today's focus anyway, I want to add a few layers of thank you. I want to add a few layers of of updates to this. My guy. I'm a guy. Matt. Did say sir. I didn't call you a woman. Or is that your name, Madan? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm not. But yeah, Madan. My word for the day is, you said you're from southern India, so kush kush ho raha hai. That's means something's happening, right? And that's all I know. Right, cool. So let me go through what I actually wanted to go through today now. My agents have doing their sweep. And yeah, there's a few items that yes, Hindi. Do you speak Hindi? Yeah, I used to work with quite a few developers from India over the years. The various projects, NFT projects, other security projects, a lot of like web applications and stuff like that. I used to kind of offhand a lot of my agency builds to a team over there. Sorry about that. Cool. So yeah, I want to make a quick start on. I want to make a quick start on making a few revisions to my autonomous loop. I need to be able to add a few things just to tighten up a few gaps on several projects. I want to create a bit more of a focus on packaging and onboarding. So I want to create deeper engines, remove any front doors. I don't want to have several features competing for attention, that sort of thing. I want to have like a world model built before any kind of like paid wedges are put into some of my software and stuff like that. I want to have more of an evaluation to my outputs as well. Just again, having my loops kind of self-adhering, the LLMs kind of being able to run evals and have more of that sort of feel. And that's going to be able to add to the projects that I'm building. Why is that important? So it's going to further remove me from the loop, just so that all I'm doing is having to just approve work, rather than having to add approval points or more human touches. I want to have more like confidence scoring in here as well, just so that as I'm going through it, I've got a confidence score on certain items. I've got more of a more reliability on some of the things that are in here, so that I'm not having to verify as much, and I can then put certain things to be more hands off rather than creating so many gates and things like that. I want to add a few more strengthening layers to the gates as well, just so that I can remove more of the hurdles, if that makes sense, so that the gates are actually more confidence based rather than just solely test based. Because the tests are what was that? I'm confused. Right, so the tests, I don't know what happened. Tell me. So the tests are more for just proofing the work, but I don't want to just proof the work. I want to be able to have more intelligence in the planning, more intelligence in the research, more intelligence in the steering as well, just based off of my common responses and things like that. And then that's where okay. Sorry. Yes, I want to add all of these things to the system, and this information, especially for the things like the confidence scoring and the loops and things like that, they're all going to come from my data set, because I've already got it. So these are things that I can add data points onto, just in terms of my core hub that I've just obviously shown you a second ago. I'll be able to add a few more I'll be able to add a few more things to it, and pull from oh, what's going on here? Sorry. To be able to pull from my structure that I just showed you a second ago, in terms of my thought atlas. So for example, if I've had several conversations with my AI agents and stuff like that, to where I'm approving things first time, it's going to naturally, I want it over time to learn that if it goes in a particular direction, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be happy with that. So then it's got a confidence log. So then if, let's say, for example, I approve something, it's logging all of that data as well. So that's a connector that I need to put back into the data set as well, so that it can then feed this loop. So then that creates a nice stream. We've used this loop to build a system that's then serving the loop as a tool as well. So I want to add things like that. Where the planning is concerned as well, there are several things that I want to add to that, and several new tools that I want to build off the top of that just to make it better. And then there's a whole operating system that I then want to build on top of this that's going to help with just that confidence piece, and to be able to actually use some of that data within my thought atlas to serve as building blocks to steer certain things, to give me certain feedback back. But ultimately, I want to use all of that to serve this autonomous loop, in principle, just for confidence, scoring, and everything else in between. That's the plan. Swapping over to Claude so that you can then see the plan, and then how we're going to progress with that. Yeah, so I've got a quick like peer review in terms of some of these things that I want to capture, that's then going to there are a lot of top. Oh, okay. Yeah, apologies. So let's get back. And obviously, Madan, if you wanna download any of the skills, any of the Python helpers for handoffs, token utilization, if you go to my channel, there is a link to my Git repo where I've posted those, so just feel free to use it, customize it to fit you, put it into your LLM, ask it to tailor make it to fit your repository, and it will do that for you as well. So yeah, just follow the link and you can download that should be public for you to use. Right, let me just quickly get this up and then we can proceed. Right, cool. So I've got a quick plan of action here that I want to follow up. And obviously I had several agents kind of go away and do this research. So you can see here I had several agents go away and do a full sweep of my repository. So 17 agents, 1.5 million tokens they ended up spending, and then they did a full scan. So yeah, so there was a scan and research phase, there was a critique, and obviously there was a few different things, confirmation of canonical tracking, and size comparison, all of these different things that they had to do, and then they came back to me with a full oh, you can't see this bit, a full report, right? That is going to help me in terms of the gaps, in terms of my autonomous loop. And then from there, I can, I'm going to plug all of the feedback back into the system, just so that I can then better use it, and yeah, progress the system forward. And then I'll be able to then plug it into where I'm planning to put it into the system. And then obviously I'll be able to document that process, and we can see how that's then improved. So initially, these are just things that it's going to add to my current way of working, my current code base. But I know that I can got a lot of this information already that I want to bake in from that atlas, or that thought atlas, that I can then bake into this. So for example, effort and thinking routing, I've got an auditor for, I've got an auditor within my loop that you saw. I've got an auditor agent, that's running on my, on my slow, cron loop, that's auditing every 3 hours. But as the feedback shows, it's only doing passes, and it's a skill MD. It routes by tier only, and this is a massive gap that's been identified by my agent. Prompt caching, obviously I've got an hourly cron that sends a stable prefix uncached, but I think I'm gonna ignore number 2, because I actually do use my compacting method, by storing all of my prompts and summaries in my temp folder based off of the slice name, that is then referenced for the next slice of work or the next session, to keep my project folder tiny. So that's why, and this is why it's always good to actually go through things as well, so you can see it live. So this is why it's not actually found any evidence of prompt caching within my project repository, because all of that is actually stored within my temp folder, not in the project itself. So there's no evidence of that, but this is good. It's like a false positive. And then the evaluation layer that I've just been talking about, like a golden set. Again, got around 2,000 unit tests, 0 model output evaluations, and then the audit judge is unpinned again. So then fresh context, adversarial verifier. So the audit is self-review, the auditor's fan out serial self confirmation baked in. Structured output is fine. I've got a worker, I've got a synth, I've got two-way schemas validated, qualify, lead JSON schema with graceful fallback, all good. Grounding verifier, all of these are fine. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I'm really focused on the areas where I'm not doing things well. So then I've got 1 million context discipline. JIT is amber. Council intel paths not corpora, good. No clear after and rule. Window of storage habit lingers. Okay, that's fine. This isn't a long-term thing that's staying on my PC. It's actually being shipped in a couple of weeks, so yeah, that's okay. So then I've got obviously all of my items that I need to do within the repository, and then I've got my my project plan for now in terms of things that I'm going to be doing. There's a couple of security items that I need to remove from a repository, and then it's given me some actions for all of my projects in terms of everything that I need to do, and some best practice. So that's kind of like what my focuses are going to be. But again, this is just giving me a roadmap that I'm not just going to follow strictly, because I know that I've already got the data set that exists to connect some of these things up already. That's already something I have. It's now just going to be a matter of baking this into my my code base and then using my own data set that I've already created to cover some of these gaps in a more elegant way. Because again, if I was to prompt it and just tell it, what do you think of baking this into my my virtual cockpit data set, is going to say, wow, that's revolutionary. So I need to like plan this out and have a few more hi there. I need to plan this out, map it out, and get a few more I guess grill sessions in there. Hi there, how you doing, sir? You okay? But yeah, so that's the plan, and that's what I'm gonna end up implementing now over the next X amount of hours, depending on how long I end up streaming for. Oh, okay, yeah, man. Bless you, man. Thank you so much for the feedback, and yeah, you have a good night. It's late. It's Monday tomorrow. Get some sleep and have a good day at work tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be streaming every day at this kind of time anyway, but the videos and the sessions are always on the channel. I will start chopping some of these up as well and just editing them into shorts and things like that, so that you've got a short form just to skip out all of the gaps. And yeah, you do your thing. Yeah, how can I help you, sir? Thank you so much, madam. It depends. When you say you want to learn machine learning, obviously that's going to involve a lot of Python, a lot of predominantly Python, but you're going to need to learn so many other system principles, a lot of maths, a lot of things like they're called not Marvis codes. It's Morcus codes. I've forgotten the framework of it, but there are a lot of principles that you need to learn. So in terms of like your laptop, because a lot of these, there's so many tools that are lightweight that you can get online and that you can access online. Don't focus so much in the beginning about your hardware and what you can use, because a lot of these things that you can already do in a virtual environment to start off with. So for example, with learning Python, with learning connecting nodes and neural networks and things like this, the principles of how these networks work, you don't need to have a crazy powerful machine to learn, right? You might need great hardware when it comes to running machine learning and like higher efficiency models locally. I have one in mind. Can you check if it's possible? And if possible, can you recommend one? Yeah, sure. Just paste what model you're looking at and then I'll have a look. But as I said, my principle is still the same. Like you shouldn't worry too much about the laptop. If it's something that you can afford, then that should be fine. That should be fine. Where are you in terms of your current, I guess, educational journey with machine learning? Where are you in that process at the moment? You're starting college this year. Yeah, dude, that should be fine. Honestly, because you can access stuff like Juniper, and so many other Python. As long as you can install Python, as long as you've got access to all of your online modules, start there. It's not until you need to actually run these modules, or these machine learning models, locally on your device, that's when you should upgrade the hardware that you're using. But in the first instance, while you're still learning, while you're still like figuring out the actual coding behind it, the actual logic in terms of how these things relate, the laptop that you've got now is perfectly fine, right? Don't try and buy the most expensive thing and whatever else, and then, do you know what I mean? What if you change your mind in terms of what you're trying to learn? Let's get the basics down on what you have, then upgrade your software as you're able to do more, and as your course demands you to do more and actually run some of these models and things like that, because there's a lot that you can already do in the virtual environment, without having crazy hardware. Lenovo. Yeah, those two laptops are, no, it's the same laptop. I was gonna say they're evenly matched. I'm just looking at the specs. That should be fine. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. If you've got budget to improve your virtual RAM, look at your virtual RAM, and then look at your RAM. Try and get a 32 gig so you can multitask, so you can run bigger Python models and things like that when you're testing. But for the beginning, you're good. That should honestly be fine. Right, what was I doing? What was in the middle? Nah, that's good, man. Pick that one. Yeah, I'm using a large desktop PC. Yeah, I'm using just a large desktop PC. This is an i7 8700 CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, 37 NVIDIA 37 RTX 3070, with 8 gig of virtual RAM. and 3 terabytes of storage. But again, this is the PC that I stream from. I've got another supercomputer that I just kind of run all of my local models as well from. And when I say local models, it's not really for AI in terms of just local data models for things that I'm doing. And I'll push things to it. But because obviously I'm streaming and things like that, everything that I've built so far, I've not needed a silly computer or like a crazy high spec computer to do what I've been able to do. There are certain things that I am building that I can only do on the larger computer, just again because of the headspace and the use cases and things like that. But yeah, for what you're doing, and especially because you're just starting out, you're just learning, get going first. It's always better to, because I'll give you an example, man. I've been wanting to start streaming and putting out content on this channel for the longest, maybe 2 years, right? While I was developing and doing whatever I was doing. And every time I'd make the excuse, maybe I need a better camera, I need to go and buy the latest camera, I need a new computer, I need a new microphone, I need this, I need that. And guess what? All of these things did not make me actually pick up and start streaming, because there's always an excuse to do something else, or nervous or whatever else. So my advice to you, bro, is just start with the laptop that you've got, get into it, start learning, and then as you develop and as you get more into, you know, dealing with larger neural networks and things like that, then you can upgrade your kit. But don't go and blow money on a new high spec machine and then you end up not liking it, or you change your mind and this, that and the other, because that's a waste of money. So I would recommend stick with what you have. Maybe use the extra budget if you have to subscribe to some LLM models or whatever services. Get some frontier like subscriptions, get a Claude Code, Claude subscription, get a Cursor subscription, whatever you want to use, and then get going, start actually learning, start building things. And then as you develop and you want to now start creating your own models and things like that, it's going to be at that stage when you need it to be more powerful. That's when you're going to need to branch out and actually add more compute to your system. But until you're at that stage, there's no need to have something that's crazy powerful, because you haven't learned how to do that yet. So you don't need it yet. Do you understand? That's my advice to you anyway, but it's your money. You can spend it how you want. Right, so what did I want to do? Yeah, we need to get started on this build. Where's my usage at? All right, so I need to actually trigger this prompt. We want to get, what's the suggestion? Do now this week. So rotate the Instagram password. Okay, that's already done. Delete the IG from Mash, resolve the freeway drift, delete tombstone, freeway drift, also called website. Commit slice 2. Okay. Fix that as okay. Security before any demo, the whole alarm list. Shake, okay. Disarm the leap breakers. Local agent control. Agentic engineering upgrade. to share. These are real good. Alright, what was the other guy? Find material. Model. On his part, okay. Review. Okay, cool. Material correction. Each process a verified gap, and of course. The deep upgrades. All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. All the best. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your question. In future, can I reach you for future internship? That's a crazy question. Yeah, man, just reach out, man. You've got my Instagram. Drop me a DM. Just, yeah, if you want to work on any projects and things like that, if you want to message me for any questions and whatever else, yeah, reach out. My Instagram's in the channel. I'm pretty sure my Discord is as well, so yeah, just reach out. Cool. cool. So this wanted to it's fixing that, which is good, and then start a track with these 17 agents. What do I want to do with these 17 guys? Cool. Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime, anytime. Okay, so each closes a variable review. Okay, cool. So that's fine. Enforces token reporting. Wait, hang on. What did we just do? All right, cool. Enforce the token reporting. I don't require token result. That's fine. Location. Okay, cool. So that's done. That's in. So we've added the kind of question. So leave constitution one steering. All right, just bear with me. I'm just grabbing something and then I'll be back in a sec. Oof, sorry about that. Needed to go. Right, so what am I doing in the background? I'm currently just sorting out a couple of items that I want to actually add to my data structures, just to help me with better connections to my loop work, in terms of I'm currently working through. I want to certain aspects of this. I'm enforcing and hardening certain aspects of it. So in terms of enforcing the effort caching on every single loop, and the token reporting and enforcement. So I want to make sure that I've got this running, because I want to be able to pull it through later to my actual cost tables. So again, so that once I've got all of this feeding into my cockpit, got a true representation of cost and everything like that. So I want to be able to things at this level, so that every single agent is reporting. And I'll be able to do this on my loop config.json. So right now, the primary loop breaker is actually silently off, and the one is actually armed once the session starts. But I don't want that to ever be missed. I want it to always be on, something that's triggered on session starts. Not just on session starts, but single prompt, every single conversation. So there's areas that I actually want to harden and tighten up, and that's the work that we're doing today, to then, as a result, will better feed this, and then in turn will better feed all of the systems that come out of this core principle, and so not core principle, the core data set that I'm working from. Yeah, that's what we're working on in the background. Just for enforcement. as you can see there, we've set the require results. That means now each loop, or at loop level, we've established that requirement for the actual token usage. So then obviously you can see all of the other things that I've been mentioning on my in the various streams in terms of these, where the spec file is located, where my slice state file lives. It's there. And then obviously you've got a reference for the promotion, where it gets promoted to is the master one. Then in this loop, sorry, not loop state drive, the slice, sorry, my camera is behind it. Over here, I've defined all of the things like the token threshold, currently 135. From 135k onwards, that's when it starts prompting me to say, look, we're above the threshold. Do you want us to actually trigger the handoff? And then that pulls on the handoff.py that we've got built, and then obviously that hook is then run, and then on the next session start, it pulls on the hook for contextual, like getting the context for the handoff and whatever else. So you can see here, in terms of more of a back end view, to the building blocks that we've got established in our plan. In the plan here, so you've got the session start, all of the things like the slice loop and whatever else, and then got the check. That's where that is pulling from. So the handoff check is checking that context threshold, whether it's been passed or whatever else. Then triggers that workflow, and then all of those rules are defined with regards to what to do with the handoff at the start of each session, to check what handoffs are available, check the timestamps for those handoffs, verify the handoff reference number, which is stored in the project repo, and then go and call the actual file or the MD, the handoff summary, the full context from the temp folder, just so that we keep our build environment ID. So those initial bits and bobs are in. So changed the enforcement of the token budget per run, as well as the requirement, which was null before. It's not important if we're getting the context elsewhere. Tightening up these gaps. Getting these little small bits and bobs done and out of the way. So start wiring up the stuff in Python and then seeing the data represent Atlas. Memory updated. Memory updated. So the correct loop honesty picture build. Cool. That's good. Term. Sorry, I'm not showing anything on screen at the moment. from this data set, there are a couple of sensitive things on screen at the moment that I don't want to show. I just want to get the housekeeping done and out of the way, and then I can share screen. Right. So with that, because these last little few bits and bobs before we actually get started are manual. So, right. Thanks. Config sweep form. Some agents. Gotta drink my ginger tea. I'll drink my ginger tea. All right. Cool. Sorry about this little silent spell. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm running a handoff in the background because my context window for that particular session has grown beyond where I wanted it to, but I wanted to finish things in that session because I'm not going to use it again. So I didn't want too many things kind of showing the same errors and things like that. So I just wanted to quickly get the last little bit that I wanted to get done in there, and then obviously create a handoff. Once that handoff's in, I can continue with just some more directive. So I finished editing all of the settings and things like that I needed to, just to tighten up a few loose ends security wise. They're done. And obviously from here, I can quickly make a start on filling out some of these gaps. So in terms of the evidence base, in terms of the non-persistence of kind of like basically formalizing my orchestration. And again, I'm going to connect that to my my Atlas. I've got obviously build gates, but not market gates. So things like actually check out, whether buyers are going to care for certain things. Demo artifact gates, obligation logs, pricing experiments, things like that. Just to get certain things tightened up on my commercially viable builds and my startups. So I'm just kind of I'm going to start adding layers into that in terms of the research element, just to tighten up and give those things more structure as well, just so that we're building things with that in mind from the beginning, rather than building something or doing like a brief, okay, like I've got an idea today, I want to build it, let's go. I want to put some of these layers and bake them into the actual initial research. So before we even spec something out, or while we're specing something out, there are gates in place for taste, in terms of, okay, what's out there that's similar, what are the interview synthesis in terms of, okay, what other approaches have people taken to get to the same conclusion or similar, what are my potential customers and why should they care about this product. All of those kind of more market research based questions, and baking them into the planning, so that I'm building something that's got all of these things pre-modeled into whatever I'm actually building. So those are the areas that I want to tighten up and get right, so that every technical slice has a market sibling. You get it? So something that's evidence-based, something that is demonstratable, to show that, okay, we've got, let's say for example, I'm building something and it needs to be able to go away, pull something, create a mock-up, I can do that. So yeah, those are the sort of things I want to just actually add in to this planning phase. I want to improve my, obviously, the evaluation harness outside of the initial test, the unit tests, so that I'm not just relying on my test gates. There's an actual evaluation based off the actual token usage. Did it get certain things right the first time round? Is there regression testing for hallucinations, things like that, citation grounding, refusal, uncertainty, confidence, collaboration, all of those things that I was talking about before Madan joined. And yeah, we ended up talking about data structure. And I told him that it was so fitting of what this stream was actually going to be about, because all of these things are going to be eventually linked back to my my atlas, and they need to be data points that are integrated and baked into that. So if I ever look back and see, okay, cool, that particular project or that particular part of the project had this sort of confidence score, and then create more feedback loops and more intelligence from them as well, so that my systems are self-learning, and are able to then reference certain things from that data set, rather than having to crawl around for context within the project or the code base or whatever else. There's a place where that actually sits, that's relevant, and it's really easy for the agents that are spawned up to actually reach. But yeah, that's the plan, he says lightly. So handoff is done. If we handed it off to, let me see, none of you are in both counts and flat created handoff helper refused by designing routes per Git. Okay, cool. So there is not actually a group. Let me see if actually is pull that. Is it going to be able to pull that? Right. I just want to was technically supposed to just pull from memory. Didn't do that though. Yeah. Latest sweep, super free health from memory. Here's Remember, full corrected. Yeah, insert. I'm gonna shit. Get a repo. But it was done. Live question your portfolio. Okay, yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, this is the one. So what I wanted to do with this particular thread is go through there's some of these line items. I wanted to be able to go through them and yeah, I wanted to go through them. Yeah, draft out this roadmap. Cursor. Underused. Okay, I want to set this to code because I've been quite direct in terms of what I've asked for. And yeah, let's shove this now. While it's actually doing that. Yeah, while it's doing that, I want to connect a couple of things now to my atlas. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Right. Just to go through what we've got going on at the moment. So I've got a few agents that are running at the moment, just to kind of go through some changes that are being made to the system here. I'm just trying to really orientate myself around to studio mode on OBS, just so I can get the right screen up for you good people. So you can kind of be able to kind of see what's going on in the background, what is running, right? So that out of your so that's now going away and kind of doing some research, having a view of the projects that I need to run specific things on. As I've said to you, my approach and this particular work package and things that I wanted to be able to do were to improve the to tighten up the gaps in terms of my orchestration, to improve the evidence base, to improve my gates for the market research element of anything that I'm building, to bake that into my planning phase and the research phase at the start, so that it all goes into the spec, but as a market fitment spec, so that each and every single feature that's then fed into the grill me and everything else like that considers these things from the beginning. They need to also align to the market fitment. So this is a new approach that I'm taking, because I did a bit of a gap analysis for my projects in the short time that I had Fable 5 available to me, and I kind of just let it go crazy on all of my projects from a planning perspective, just to basically grill me, to peer review, and just to highlight underutilization of any sort across my project base, across my my folder structure, anything that was kind of touching AI, whether it be in my idea bank, in my research bank, in my projects that are in flight, and even projects that are shipped or close to being shipped, just to see where all of those gaps were. And it gave me a massive report as a kind of like a founder and technical lead report, in terms of the things that I can tighten up on, that I'm not doing too well. Obviously it did highlight a few things that I was doing well, but I'm not focused on those. I'm focused on where I can actually improve. So the main gaps that kind of came out of that were my market fitment gap, and several others and things like that that were relevant to me. And these are the things that are kind of now steering what I'm doing, and things that I need to consider. But again, I'm just baking them into my loops that I've built, because this was something that it gave me great feedback on in terms of some of my strongest work and principles that I had within my repository, within my idea bank and everything else like that, in terms of the orchestration of it, the build process of it, and the rigidity and discipline was top tier. But with the addition of all of these other things, it will improve my it will tighten the gap between idea and actually shipping. It will reduce the time that I'm spent kind of going through certain iterations of things. If I've got them in there from the beginning, it means that once I actually get an idea out, it'll be closer to actually being adopted and not flying off the shelves, but it's got more of a chance to succeed than me having to kind of put something out and then try and convince people why they should use it. It's building things with people's use cases in mind, right? So I want to build all of those sort of things in. There are a few other things that I'll also put in, and hopefully you'll be able to see the tail end of that work as being done to kind of progress and push that sort of thing forward. So yes, at the moment we've got 9 agents that are running here, just doing the research, and yeah, they're all just doing their thing and should hopefully come back to me with a report once they're done, and then I'll have something that I can then stick through my current workflow, and so not stick through my current workflow. I'll be able to adjust some of these things within my current workflow, test it, then shit to run that way. I am running this on a no tick, so I'm not going through my current workflow just so that I can, because it's not really a build of something new, they're more improvements to things that I'm actually doing. So of course it's come back, it's going through workflows running in the background, 9 agents, whatever else. I work in the claim in the raw factory, of course it's reading through this, and then we've got 4 agents that are actually doing research in 2026 for 2026 perplexity, first synthesizer, the adversarial critique, write a full answer and alignment. It's finished. Okay, cool. Cool, so it's got its full idea now. See where we're at. Context windows 126k, so assume need to think about closing this up and then picking this up from a new section. Other alphas. is a super strong strategic scan. It's 10 gas. It's 12 was good consensus. Alignment with firefighter. Deterministic. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, so deterministic linters plus the auditor skeptic exits, no golden set or judge harness, judge pin to alias, not dated ID. There. That's again, it's a data improvement piece that we can do there and add to our linter. Sorry, to our atlas. And G9, append only audit trail. Okay. More gap. Deletion. Governance. Thank you. Also, so we're gonna do an order. Frontier features. Stream drop in front. So depressing seeing this notice that Claude Fable 5 is currently unavailable. It's like, just remove the notice. We get it. I can see that it's not selectable. Why do I need to keep being reminded of it? But what's crazy is that obviously this has come down from US government as well, and I'm not really seeing anyone talking about this or mention this. But didn't Elon Musk buy part of Anthropics, and then it's odd that the day after he becomes a trillionaire, the first trillionaire or whatever, he Fable 5 gets redacted. But I thought that he was linked to it, and obviously with his position still in government, I don't know how his relationship is with Trump or anything like that, but I just thought the two things might be linked somehow. But again, who am I? No, it's just a random thought. No logic or anything like that behind it. Just something that came to mind. Right. Cool. So this, these builds have now started. I've cranked this up all the way to ultra code, just because I want to get it dialed in, and these changes and improvements dialed in, while I've kind of been here. Wait, hang on. Now the keystone routing, the capability seam that lands effort caching code, that effort errors on. Okay, to reconcile foot gun, the errors on Haiku or Sonnet, caused environment py, but no Anthropic and no numpy. That's actually the right forcing function. I'll build the kit as pure standard, providing junction, the whole thing is offline testable by construction and has 0 hard depth. The Anthropic SDK becomes lazy optional adapter. The edge, that's fine. I have a faithful reference for the grounding ratio qualifier lead. Okay, yeah. Fine. Okay, so this is all right. That's quite project specific. Now test. sort of one failure in the test. Faithfully grounding. Token utilization. These guys use the same. Guide for the Oh, this is nice. Nice. So cassette.py. So what this file is essentially doing in the grand scheme of things. So if you imagine we've got replay tests, for example, and then replay tests cassettes. What this is doing is building building a cassette map. Basically this maps a contact address request key and the canned response so that tests replay a real shape response with zero network and full determinism. And it's basically like matching and routing the tests to something actually real, rather than jumping around and trying to reference something that doesn't exist. It just gives it order, it gives it and guarantees any cache testing can't fall through to a live core. So it's just like a routing mechanism. So you've got a cassette key, and then the cassette tape, and it's just a referencing mechanism. It's just all building this one by one. So good. Yeah, and the perfect thing is, see, being able to blast through sort of things like this is the amazing thing about AI, because the 3 or 5 days that we spent building up the atlas view of my conversations with AI, my notes, my AI prompts from CC, from Claude AI, from ChatGPT, from Notions notes. I want to put all of my Obsidian graphs in there as well, so I want to export them, just because I've got a bunch of my stuff from my quant system build as well that I want to put in there. That initial dog work that we did, just getting the data sets right manually, allows me to be able to confidently blast away and let the AI dog away at this mammoth of a task in creating all of these new updates, because I know that I've got the foundations that it can actually sit on already there, built already. So this is something that I've been preaching about over the last couple of weeks, in terms of building stuff from the ground up at times, and being able to understand your code base, your frameworks, your projects and workspace, and your the infrastructure and the core files in terms of the core logic that you've got running it, means that you can upgrade certain parts of it. You can swap things out where applicable, without making a massive mess or detouring and kind of getting stuck in a loop of building something that never really reaches completion or never ships. So yeah, so this is the plan now, just to get all of these best practice bits built in, slot them into place, and then I've got something that then I can carry on the rest of the build with these things in mind. I don't really want to go backwards in terms of then getting it to do the market sweep up. But as I'm adding features, at least it can now start adding something and feeding these questions into my grow me loops in terms of the market fitment, in terms of the taste, and what the I guess the target audience for the particular project actually want from something like this, based off of the Perplexity deep research. And this is where a lot of these MCPs and things like that are going to now marry into that data set. So now if I've now got that, and then I can add it as a branch in terms of, okay, this is something which had strong taste, or this is something that was really like scored quite highly on a shipment, on a market fitment test. I can then now zoom out of all of this, and then just filter. Let's say for example, obviously this isn't a filter, but if I was to do something like this, and let's say for example, now this was a filter of all of my high priority pieces that had like a really good score for market fitment, I can then now target and zero in on those projects. That's kind of where I'm aiming to go with this, with regards to connecting all of this data up properly, and plugging in some of these updates. It's going to allow me to now slowly add these little cranks and configure the intelligence into it, and really bake things up, and bake the layers into this. So you see, there's method to the madness. We spent days and days and days picking away at this and testing it in Obsidian and figuring out like it's not quite right for what I wanted to use it for. And I couldn't explain it. I couldn't articulate it well. But you can see now, as I'm adding my, like unveiling and putting more things from the actual plan of what I've got to build, it's unraveling and it's showing the importance of the time that we spent in that DSA, perfecting the data structure and putting the solid foundations in place means that now I can build pretty much anything on top of this data set and make it fly. So yeah, it's all aligning really, really well. And it's going to serve a really good purpose, I believe. So, yeah. A nice little research node. Beautiful. Yeah, where are we now? So okay, cool. So done, and here's what's landed. So we've got every beautiful front air control and report and the audit is in it. Brilliant. So I've got the readme, so I want to see what that is. Oh, amazing. So this is what's been built in that short, 10 minutes since I've started running it. We've managed to get all of this out. So we've got the dated charge and golden set. We've got the evaluation in there. We've got the prompt caching in there. Then provide a new neutral compatibility seam. We've got batch API builder and all of these other things. So yeah, so now we've got the building blocks really starting to 25 as well. Okay, there's a couple of more gaps I just wanted to quickly close up. Just want to get feedback on that, and then I'll close the session. Not crazy high, but higher than I want it. Cool, so these are the bits that we're going to be hardening as well. I just want to throw this. So hopefully all the work that we're doing now is going to be to help us harden all of this. Cool, so that's done. Synthesizing is done. Now it's working on the taste down here. So again, all we're doing now here is just building out. We scoped out what we wanted from this market taste survey. And again, this is something I'm going to build and loop into. Once it's done, I'm going to loop it into my grill me skill. So with a lot of these now, they don't make the skills that I've got set up on my Git repo redundant. You can still obviously use those just as dry skills that you can kind of pop into your Claude Code. They also work in codecs. So once you obviously if you import the skill into your .claude directory, wherever you keep in your project, or even if you put it into your codecs directory, or if you've got a directory, you've imported it and it's running in your running codecs, it will pick it up and allow you to convert or migrate the skill or integrate the skill into codecs. So they're bi-directional. You can use them on either LLM. It's completely fine. But once I've got all of this geared up, we've tested it and it's all working. What I will do is kind of make a generic version of everything that I've covered today, post it on my repo just so that you can kind of use it, make it fit for purpose for your projects, and then you'll be able to go from there and really just see how you get on. But this is building away at this on Opus 4.8. I've got it currently set to ultra code, so I've just cranked the effort all the way to maximum. Our directives have been super tight anyway, in terms of like the process that we followed, in terms of the spec, how the MDs are written and things like that. And then when it comes to just the reasoning and the code and whatever else, it does its thing. It knows it where everything needs to slot in. And I've just bumped it all the way up to max effort. And then once that's done, we'll run our debug and diagnose over the whole thing. It should do it as a loop anyway, but I'm currently not running this within my loop or my autonomous loop. I'm running this completely dry because it's not sitting I'm not working inside a project within my repository. I'm making all of these changes within my core or the umbrella project folder, because I want certain not infrastructure, some certain guardrails at this level, and then I'll make the skills and hooks and everything in between that are down at project level call back up and work with the tools that we're building up here. just so that it's cleaner. It's then enforced at the top level as a kind of like, how do I reference this as kind of like an operator would. And then, yeah, the work from the top down. So, so this is done. The agent's finished doing what it's doing. It's asking me, so 2 things worth noting. Raider 1 wedge. There's the patch I already staged, wiring overs 4. Want me to tree proposing. Oh, the heck is this just released? I didn't know this. There's a Sonnet 4.8 coming. Wait, hang on. And this keep on doing. Wait. Market rate, the shippable wedges, Oh, what's the fun? No, that can't be right. And I didn't know about this. I just stumbled across news testing. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I hadn't seen the news on that, but I was just testing my market radar sweep, and it revealed that I'm gonna have to swap out my workhorse models for Sonnet 4.8 between the. So I'll show you on screen. Hopefully I'm not showing too much because there's a reason why I've got this half covered up, but I thought that was quite an interesting little catch here. Let me hope that this is. Can you see this? Screen. All right, I'm just gonna have to just take the risk. All right, let's see if I can. Here, this bit here. So you can see that? Yeah, so just during the test and stuff like that, I've been able to reveal the Sonnet 4.8 is, I've just Googled it, it is already public knowledge and stuff, but I didn't know. Interesting. Anyway, getting distracted. blast this for 15 more minutes, and then hopefully it should be finished by then. Cool. Yes, exactly. That's exact. Stone. Then we're stopped right now. Git library, every product. Describe it into code. Right, cool. So that appears to be in. Done. Frame and sharpened it. Cool. So that's what I had in mind, and your frame and sharpened it. Good. Not just a shareable library, but governance from built live, testable now. Cool. So we just need to the autonomous the one part autonomous loop lives in the deny protected factory. Good. So the wiring Okay, so now I'm just spinning up agents to go and do the debugging, smoke test all of these changes that we've made. And then I want I've just given explicit consent to go through and make the specific edit to each of the spec and config files as well, at every single project level, just so that everything's wired up, and then test those as well so that they're referencing the new global directive. So that's where we're at now. So that's what we're quickly doing now. So the agents for that should start spinning up. And they should all still be running inherent. So they're doing that on Ultra Code. I've got I've still got like 60% of my 5-hour limit remaining. So I'm still just blasting that on Ultra Code. I've been streaming for 3 hours. So yeah, I've got 3 hours. I've been streaming for 3 hours, and I've only used 37% of the limit, because I started when I think I was 1%. So yeah, it's good to be back at like this kind of churn rate as well, because when I was doing the same thing on Fable, I was definitely burning through it a lot quicker than that. Wiring for projects, starting the workflow. Cool, let's start the workflow, let's get it done. So just to kind of recap, as I kind of wind down the stream, in terms of where we've gotten to today, where we started. I'm gonna go back to where it all started, which is not doing that, which is up here, which is the autonomous loop that you guys have been watching me kind of work through and build over the first few weeks that I was streaming. We then kind of quickly got away from that, not away from it, but we as in you watched me go through this meticulously, in terms of a single step at a time, a single tick at a time, manually, and that was just to kind of validate and make sure that the philosophy was right, and just to tighten up any more gaps where there was still quite a lot of like repetition or double touching in my process. We then created loops, and we orchestrated loops in terms of what I wanted specific agents to be doing, and that was to allow me to be more out of the loop rather than in it, and kind of having to authorize every single decision and this, that, and the other. So we got away from that. We added several new, I don't want to say steps, but factors. We talked about the importance of DSA, so data structure, within our base, and then I referenced this, which is my atlas of various projects linked linked at various degrees of similarity and connectivity and hierarchy and all sorts of different connections. But again, all of the things that we're doing now, with the current project direction, is all possible because of the integrity of our data connection and all of these links that I'm able to kind of build from one particular node. I'm able to see similarity. So you can see here where all of these things that it's now linking to just from that particular node may be sharing a word inside. Let me see if I can identify the word from here. Events allowed. I think it's the contents, context of each of these. I think the word might be harness. Yeah, I think the word is harness, but from the similarity, I'm able to then also link to lineage. So in terms of the next direction that we went from this, I'm able to reference the hub that it came from. I'm also able to reference the hierarchy as well and use the hierarchy as a data set in terms of where did it actually originate from. So you can see it originated from my my prospector, my Axo prospector project, and from there can link that, and I can link it to other things as well. So we're able to just touch on this data structures, and obviously been building this out for a while. As I explained, I didn't want to use Obsidian or anything like that, just because wasn't able to do this. What I'm showing you now to this degree. I ended up building it bespoke, and building the relationships in a bespoke manner. But then with the relationships being built, and the foundations of the data structure being in place, it meant that I can then build on top of those, and create a better, a more intelligent system from there that's kind of able to tell me a few more things. And that's kind of where we started to look at the importance of some of the updates that I was making. So in terms of the marketability, the audience fitment, the self-learning, and the correctness and things like that, the accuracy. So there's more data points that I need to add to them, but that all becomes possible based off of now having that core structure, and then having more systems and more tools that I can then link it to. So that's the direction I'm going in, and I pretty much finished closing the gaps now. I've set the directives up, I've spun up all of the governance and stuff. I've cranked this up all the way to ultra code just so that it can blast through it, so that going into Monday I've got a fresh sheet of focuses for next week's kind of subsequent streams. So then we can kind of then start working at the new data points that we need to connect. So that I reckon that would be done like Monday, Tuesday. We'll be back at a position of the data structure being in a good, healthy place, so that we can then, like, you know, start pushing more of the needle with regards to all of the other projects, and I can start kind of showcasing you some of the things that I'm building or have already finished building off of the back of that data set. And yeah, and then obviously go from there. So what I'm just doing now is just going through the testing phase, really. So I'll do that offline, finish the testing, and I'll be back tomorrow, just actually show you what that is looking like now that it running it in practice, and then we'll see from there. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you the next time. If you've enjoyed the stream, if you've got any suggestions, any feedback, and whatever else, comment, message me on Instagram. My handle is there at AxoCorp. I do check my direct messages and stuff, so I'll reply. If there are any skills in here that that you're interested, let me know, and I'll drop them onto my Git repository. I'll kind of make them more generic and then drop them there, so that they're usable without having to have everything else that they're connected to. But yeah, thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next stream.